it's just gone 7 o'clock this evening and I'm just finished milking. Girls has gone down to get their tea and they're going to bed for school in the morning. So I'm going to spend about an hour here now this evening. Just doing a few things, getting a few things ready to take away with me tomorrow. And one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to set up a light here that you can see. For starters, what we're going to do is we're going to remove this starter. There's a bolt already missing there, so that's going to make it easy for me. Get the cables all taken off it and get it taken away and get it fully rebuilt. Now you guys, depending where you live all around the world, there'll be different places where you can get starters rebuilt and alternators rewound, as we used to call it. Beside me, Frank Rudden would be the place we'd normally go with our electronic stuff. Alternators, especially starters as well. We had to put a starter on that Massey. I remember the last Massey we had was a 4270. We put a high-speed starter on it because it was quite a hard tractor to start. Them 4270s was. And that's the man we would go to get all them bits and pieces done. We'll take the alternator off as well because you can see someone just done a real bodge job of making a bracket to hold that on, and that is not the right bracket. The 2 holes is there for the right bracket, and that one is just wrong completely. Oh, well, you know, handy little place to put the tools and everything. There we go. That's that one loose. Now this one in here is not going to be so easy, so I'm definitely going to have to use a wrench to get into that one. We have movement. So I lifted the bonnet off. That's hopefully going to give you a wee bit more light. I need to disconnect the battery cable. It's not connected to any battery. We're going to replace that entire cable anyway. I don't like the way it's sitting there. I'm going to leave all the other wires on the starter because I want my man in the electronic shop to have a look at the way it's laid out, because the alternator at the moment is not connected to the starter in any shape or form. There's no wires going to any ignition. It's just everything has been completely severed and took away. I don't know why. Even this kill switch has been put on. I don't know why that was even put on in the first place. We'll just loosen this off here now first. That's that. Take the washer off too. It's a battery one here. We'll put some Tech 7. It's all badly rusted. It's probably 10 now, is it? Yep, it's probably a 10. I'll loosen by hand. Yes, don't have to run back to the shed to get a 10. And all these wires just lie in there. So take off the battery. There we go. That's the battery disconnected. Well, sort of a battery. Another thing we have to take off here is this linkage. A lovely gutter bolt. God love gutter bolts. There we are. That's that disconnected. Oh, it's heavy. Christ, that is heavy. Okay. Yeah, so that's a nice bit of mess in there. Oh, look at it, hill on the fan belt, I suppose, but definitely something that definitely wasn't serving any purpose. That water pump is another thing we're going to have to look at, make sure it's working right. That's the water pump there, the fan's attached to, so it looks like it has been replaced recently. This is also replaced fairly recent too. It's nice to see some fresh steel on it. Have a diesel leak somewhere, so we're going to have to find that, have a look and see where that diesel is coming from to see is there a hole in the tank. There could be. But otherwise, so far so good. Nothing there that's really unexpected. Basically, what you do is you press this button in, you bring your gear stick across, and when you have this button pressed in, you kind of push it in with the back of your leg. That's what's more or less for. And you push the gear stick forward, and that moves this mechanism here, which in turn is connected to this, which pushes this button in, and then that sends power to the starter motor and starts the tractor. No key on these tractors whatsoever. And it's actually an ingenious, simple little design. I know a lot of people have converted them to a key start. I'm definitely not going to do that. I want to keep the tractor the way it should be. So we're going to be getting this all done. You can see someone here done quite a bit of welding here, putting a bolt onto the mechanism to get it to connect better, but we're going to replace all that. There'll be a new seal then here that'll go across the whole thing. So you'll see it when it comes back. Hopefully it'll look in an awful lot better shape than it does now, and I'm hoping that we can get the alternator and the brackets, because you can see here that the mount itself is perfect. Thankfully no one has band jacks to that. The threads look really, really good, so hopefully we can track down them bits and pieces we need. So back here with the wee Fergie, and I've just got my starter back, which is here, and the starter's back and it has been rebuilt for us. They told me that the insides of it were completely in bits, rusted out, an awful mess inside, so they replaced nearly everything on it. So they've even put their little mark on it now, so they know the next time when it comes in that they've done the work on it and they stand by any of the work that they'll do. So the job now is to put the starter back in. We also will be fitting a new dynamo that we picked up in John Conaty tractors, and we picked up quite a few parts for this tractor, second hand and new. As I said before, we're trying to keep the new parts limited as possible, but thankfully John Conaty's were fit to pick up some really hard to get parts second hand, which was absolutely awesome. One of the parts that we were able to get was a new bracket to fit on here, the original one, an old one, and a dynamo tensioner as well. I didn't think he'd have any parts for 20s second hand, but he did, and that was just really cool to get used parts. Just connect up the starter mechanism. That's it. So that's the starter fitted. I'm missing a bolt for here. That's go the whole way through, so I'm going to pick a bolt up for that now this evening. But otherwise the starter is fitted. The mechanism's working perfect. It looks really good. It looks like a brand new starter. I'm going to start working now on the dynamo and hopefully get it kind of set up. We know where it has to go. I'm not just too sure where the tensioner itself has to go. I think it fixes to the water pump. I may be wrong, so I'm going to have to look up a few diagrams to see where the tensioner is fitted to. We have 2 bolts to fit at the minute, so I'm going to have to source out 2 more bolts to hold the bracket into place, but for now they'll hold it till we get everything lined up. Okay, for the first time she's topless. We have the bonnet off. It looks a lot different when the bonnet's off. It looks such a small, little, simple tractor. As you can see, I haven't got a whole pile of rim to work here at the minute, but as the weather gets a bit better, hopefully we'll be able to bring it outside and work on it outside. But at the minute we're in storm conditions, high winds, lots of rain, a lovely spring Irish weather. So if you look at the thermostat housing here and you look at this pipe that's coming down, you see a great big kink in it there. That shouldn't be like that, so I'm going to have to get a new pipe for that as well. We have new hoses for the radiator, all new, brand new hoses. We're going to have a look at this thermostat. We're going to probably change it as well, see what it's like. Get this radiator off, might give us good access now to the front of it as well. So I'll probably move this radiator now and get it out of the way and get that part over with. So we'll drain it out first. You don't have to loosen them off completely because the radiator pulled forward. Little drain tap here. I'm going to loosen. I wonder, does it work? Does it work? Probably does work, but the fact of it is the radiator is probably empty. Oh, there it goes. There's no antifreeze in this at all, so that's why I can just let it out on the ground. If there's any antifreeze in any radiators you're working on, you should never let it down the drain. But this here has been topped out with water because it's been leaking so much, so it's easy enough for us just to let the water out of it. Nothing hard about that. We're getting into the nitty gritty of it now. I can see someone straight away put a new water pump, well, a newish water pump on that. That doesn't look like it was done a long time ago. And also I can see the new housing on here as well. So I'm hoping I can see new fresh gasket there too, that someone maybe has done the thermostat. But we're going to have to pull that off anyway and have a look at the thermostat and see what it's like. I'll put a new thermostat in when I'm at it. Clean this thing up here. I might get a new housing for this too. Definitely have to put a new hose here because that's completely kinked. and that's not serving a good purpose there whatsoever, so we're going to have to fix that. And I see another job that was done here on the axle where someone just cut this off. Don't know why they've done that. I'll probably get a second-hand arm for this sometime and just put that back to the way it's supposed to be. It's not a big issue, you wouldn't even see it with the bonnet on it, but I know it's there and I want to keep it all in good working order. Even these bolts, that one's not even bolted in at all, so that can push completely apart, but we'll get all new bolts for them. The water pump is good, it's not rattling, it's not shaking in any way, so I think it's quite good. I'm not going to touch that. The fan's in quite good nick, I don't see any major whacks. It has hit a few places, so we can file them sides down, but the fan seems to be in good order. There ain't no thermostat in it at all. That's not what you like to see. There should be sitting in there on that housing. Is not there, so we're going to have to order a new thermostat for it, get a gasket for that as well. Let's hope there's not too many things like that, because the thermostat serves a very, very important purpose, and the fact that it's missing is not a good sign for things to come, but hopefully it's just something I think that was recently done, and I see it be all the gasket and that. It looks very, very fresh, so I don't think it was run for very long the way it was. I think someone just wanted to get it running and just didn't bother putting it in, and probably running maybe for short times, because it doesn't look like a tractor that really sat for too long, but it doesn't look like a tractor that was used an awful lot, if that makes sense. Anyways, no problem. It's another thing we'll solve as we go along. We're going to put this bracket onto its place. That's it there. And this bracket was one I sourced in John Conaty tractors. It was second hand. I'm after spray painting it. I probably shouldn't have spray painted it, but it's spray painted now. That time I was kind of thinking of spraying the whole tractor, but I don't know yet what I'm going to do, whether I'll do that or not. But for now, we'll just fit it into place, because we want to just get the tractor started and running, and then we can come along and dress these things then later on. I need to take out this bolt here to fix my tensioner onto its place. So that's the tensioner, new tensioner back in place. It looks right. Not 100% sure, but if I'm making any mistakes, you guys feel free to let me know. But I think more or less I have it in the right place. So I'm going to put this pulley back on. I'll put the fan back on as well. I have a brand new belt ordered along with a new thermostat gasket and housing as well to go on top, because that is pretty badly corroded. It's not an expensive part and it's readily available, so I've that all ordered now. Just there at lunchtime, so I should have them in a couple of days. The next thing I'm going to look at here while I'm waiting for other parts to come is this seat bracket. We need to change this seat bracket. Now I've already taken out this stud already. The problem is getting a nut that fits this top here. It's quite corroded as well, but getting these nuts are a lot harder than you might imagine, and I seem to not be able to find them whatsoever. So I'm going to order them online. I know I can probably get them online. I'll try John Conaty's first and see how they got them. The sides of that nut are completely all gone. I never put it on the last time. Used a chisel to tighten it, but hopefully this nut will come off. It's not too bad, I can save that completely. I can cut this if I need to be, but when I get this into the vise, I'll heat it up red hot and that nut will come off just like the other one. I'm going to put 2 studs in it for now, not let any dirt down into that while I'm cleaning that area up. So this breather pipe here, I have a new breather filter for it. But you see this is broken off, that's why it was sitting in there when I bought it. Obviously these had broken off. Now these are supposed to be welded on here. So I have an arc welder. An arc welder would completely burn through that. So lucky enough, that brings me to a wee segment. I bought a Mig Welder and I never actually got taken out of the box, so we're going to do that now. So that's it out of the box, nothing exciting there. A box is a box. It's actually quite heavy. I didn't realise it would be so heavy. As I said before, it's a mighty Mig Sealy 210. I'd say in this door here, we've got, yeah, loads of our accessories. So our torch and all that stuff's in here. So it's going to probably take a wee bit of time to put the thing together, put the whole wheels on and all. I'm thinking I'm going to have to probably take out the instruction book and have a proper read of it before I go any further to make sure that I do put it together correctly. Okay, so that's it put together. That wasn't hard. There's obviously a plastic housing has to come off there. Loads of other stuff you get in the box. Have a gas regulator, which is good to get. Have to source out a tank. The tank itself sits in the back of the welder here, up against it, and then it's fed through. And I have a hose that came for that as well, sitting here with 2 Juby clips, ready to put on. Have to source out a tank. The tank itself sits in the back of the welder here, up against it, and then it's fed through. And I have a hose that came for that as well, sitting here with 2 Juby clips, ready to put on. Didn't come with a plug, so I'll put an industrial plug onto it. That's a piece of cake, not a big issue that. And there's your earth. I forgot to mention as well, you get an earth with it. Now I do usually buy better earths than that, although that's not the worst one I've seen. But normally I do go around and I do change out the earths on most of these and put a heavy duty earth onto it. Anyway, we get the torch put on. So that's it. That's my Sealy 210 Mig Welder. It looks really impressive. I'm absolutely stoked with it. I can't wait to start using it, start learning how to use it. I've never used a Mig Welder before. I've never Mig welded before because I just love the stick welding, and that's probably what I'll still spend the majority of my time doing when I've went to fix it. But when there's light material and things on vehicles and such, this is going to be such a nice bit of kit now to have, and I've really always wanted one for years. And now I finally have one. And I want your advice, guys. Where should I get the gas cylinder? What are the options? I don't want to be renting gas because I'm not going to use it very, very often. And what is the best size to get to fit onto that there? Comment down below and let me know what you think. I can't wait to get that shed built so get all this stuff put into it. I can just drive the machine in, everything's kind of fixed in place, and I can just work away at my own ease, because this workshop is good but it's a bit too small for what I want to do. I'll show it again in a couple of weeks when I get the gas cylinder hooked onto it. We'll set it up and running, and you'll probably see me making a disaster of my first MIG weld. But you know something? It's great because on YouTube, no doubt you guys that are welders out there will give me good tips on how to, well, at least you'll tell me where I'm going wrong. I've no doubt about that. So that's my MIG welder kind of set up. I have to get a bottle of gas, a few things for it, but more or less it's going to be very handy now come working on this here. Hopefully we don't have to do too much welding to it, but there is going to be a little bit of fabrication that's going to have to be done if we're going to repair some parts rather than replace them. That will be welded back on there. Take it off, clean it all down, clean all the gunk that's in it. It's full of gunk in there, so I'm going to clean all that out and weld this back in place and put a shiny new filter on its place. Another little thing I'd like to know, I'd like to get your comments and thoughts on. A lot of people have looked at this tractor, and the first thing they've said to me is, Adrian, if I were you, I wouldn't paint that tractor. it's in its working clothes, and it actually looks very, very good in the patina look that it has. I'm kind of thinking now down the same line more and more. What do you think? Let me know in the comment box below, because I'm more or less now swinging towards not painting it, leaving it as it is, because if you do paint it, it just looks like another Ferguson. Fergusons aren't really hard to get bits and pieces for, but I like to get as much as I can in one place, one payment for delivery, and the whole lot lands at your door, rather than shopping and changing in different places. So I originally get all my parts, as I said before, of John Conaty's tractors, and I always have done. My father's done so before me, so there was no reason to look anywhere else before I searched there first. So I'll put a link to all the individual pieces that we're using on this tractor and the restoration, in all the parts, where we're getting the bits and pieces from, and you can check out them links for all the individual items if you're looking for parts yourself, or you can just go www.johnconatytractors.com and that will bring you into the website, and you can search from there yourself. Until the next one, folks, don't forget, hit that sub button. You can follow us on Instagram, Snapchat and TikTok. Until the next one, talk to you again.